So thank you. I don't know where Mark McGaw is. He's probably, where is Chief?
He's in the parking lot talking to your former boss.
He would be surprised to know that I actually have prepared remarks tonight. I normally don't do this. I kind of wing it. Probably got myself in trouble on one or two occasions, but I jotted down a few things tonight, just in case. I mentioned to my wife, Lisa, who's, I guess, taking a picture of me because she's going to retweet it, that, you know, I realized, you know, tonight for what it really is. And quite frankly, it's a thinly veiled effort to quietly usher me into the DeMatha Athletic Hall of Fame. As the first offensive guard in history of DeMatha to make it, and really that's why Pat McWord is here. We can just keep this between us. I understand. So I'll go along with the chief of police thing, but I would like a small plaque. So I want to thank my parents for being here. They probably hardly recognized the campus. I had explained to them to not go to 43rd Avenue. I think everybody for a while thought that was the front of the school, that was the rear of the school, where they dropped me off as a freshman 30 years ago. It seems like a long time, but it is a long time. The fall of 1983, DeMatha's campus has come a long way, and John Moylan, Mr. Moylan, everybody knows you, our longtime former principal, and really imposed his sheer will over many years and many boxes of world's famous chocolate candy bars. Mike Ritter didn't sell any of them, his dad bought them. That is a true story. To really make this facility a reality. I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Moylan for being here tonight, and Mrs. Moylan, like many folks here, really hasn't changed over the years. Nobody was really scared of Mr. Moylan, but they were scared to death in this. My brother, Brian, class of '88, lacrosse player, and I grew up as sons of a Prince George's County police officer down the street in College Park, where my dad patrolled most of his career. From time to time, and I won't go beyond this because there's a camera here, we tested the limits of my father's ability to defend us in situations that we arguably created. And I realized that. I had a paper out, I delivered the Washington Star, and they paid, all my customers paid twice the going rate. and they were never late. And they got notes from my father if they were, you know, he never saw one of them. And so I won't elaborate on that beyond apologizing to my mother for my brother's outrageous behavior. As far as lacrosse players go, just when you get a second, ask Mr. Moylan what he thinks of lacrosse players. Has that changed, Mr. Moylan?
Pardon? Lacrosse is going strong.
So our current principal and my former English teacher, who inspired me in more ways than one to pursue an English degree, Dr. Dan McMahon is also here tonight. Dan?
I think he's gone.
For Dan, and Dan remembers this, and so there are a few people here who graduated with me, Mike Ritter, Paul Williamson, Kyle Lallis. John Hips, I asked him to show up tonight, but he heard Neil Murphy was going to be here, and he couldn't stand the pressure. That's an inside story, but it's a legendary DeMatha story. Neil Murphy, Neil's longest serving assistant coach to DeMatha basketball history. So I appreciate Dan McMahon for what he does to carry the school's reputation on. Father James, our rector, is obviously also here tonight. If anyone hasn't aged over the years, it's Father James. Father James singing Billy Joel at DeMatha proms. Really, for better or for worse, burns in the memories of many of them. Father Damien, another ageless DeMatha fixture, is here as well. He's over my left shoulder. And, Father Damien, it's not surprising that Mike Ritter is standing about as far away from you as he possibly can. Some would refer to that as a guilty conscience. So the Trinitarians are still going strong here at DeMatha since 1946. Bill McGregor, while he's not here tonight, is probably I guess, single-handedly responsible for the occasional chip on my shoulder. Mark McGaw has probably seen once or twice. Hank Stoinski, is he still here? He's in the parking lot. There's a lot of people. I've seen once or twice. Coach McGregor's natural ability to inspire and motivate his players to work harder than our opponents still drives me to this day. Now, J.B. Brown, not James Brown of the class of '69, who graduated with Mike McQuillan, longest serving homicide commander in PGPD history, same class. Here with Tom Jensen, retired homicide sergeant from PGPD as well. But the other J.B. Brown, who played for the Terps, played for the Dolphins for years and years, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in a formal ceremony. Referred to Bill McGregor's motivational speeches as staged antics. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I choose to believe that it wasn't. So, and I know that many people in here have witnessed those speeches, and as I look back on it, maybe he wasn't making stuff up, but he certainly ripped a number of windshield wipers off of motor vehicles in the back parking lot. I saw it, so I don't know if that was real or imagined. So, Bill McGregor certainly appreciate everything he's done. Bill's insistence, however, and I see Morgan Wooten's by 2 o'clock. Bill insisted that I rest during basketball season. It took 4 years of my basketball career from me. Coach Wooten, I apologize. If I can never make it up to you, I will. Coach McGregor had a really bad habit of pampering his offensive line. But it's a special treat to have Coach Wooten and Kathy Wooten here as well. Another wife of a legendary person who I guess kind of has a strong personality that helps Morgan carry on the way he does, and I appreciate you guys being here. Mark McGaw, who we've established is in the parking lot, he's here tonight. Many people along the way asked me if Mark McGaw knew I was in this crazy process for Anne Arundel County, and he knew from day one, supported me from day one, kind of always allowed me to be myself. So just like a football coach who wins the Super Bowl, the offensive coordinator always seems to get a whole lot of attention after that Super Bowl victory. So that offensive coordinator must be doing something right. So if I can make a sports analogy, maybe I was his offensive coordinator, and on the heels of a year in Prince George's County where the homicide rate was the lowest. Sorry, Mr. Quillen. Sorry. It was the lowest it has been since 1986. Prince George's County got a lot of attention, and
I didn't kill him. Sorry, I didn't mean to take any thunder, but I didn't.
But deserved or not, I got a disproportionate amount of credit for some of the crime-fighting strategies. And Mark is more humble than I am, so maybe that kind of worked out. So just slightly. But it was a great 21 years, and I still can't believe that it was 21 years. So my wife Lisa, who I don't know if you tweeted that. We met when she was still at the University of Maryland, and I was a young patrol officer in Prince George's County, studying for my PFC exam. I tell people, tongue-in-cheek all the time that she chased me around for several weeks before I gave in, but obviously not true at all. So she's put up with me for a long time, 18 plus years, and our 4 kids that kind of happened back to back to back to back, to include twins, are the people they are because of Lisa. So she's probably felt like a single mom far too often, and Thank you. Tom Ponton, and I actually had to go online to look up Tom's title because I wasn't quite sure what it was. So Tom's the Director of Development, but really the all-around guru of any and everything DeMatha. So without Tom, I think a lot of good things that DeMatha has, and I can't begin to put it in order or to name them, but they just don't exist without Tom Ponton. Our alumni board is also here tonight in full force. I think I'm the youngest member. Yeah, well, maybe the second to the youngest member. Now.
Second.
So, second to the youngest. I really wrote in my speech, and this is the problem with preparing remarks. I was going to recognize Ben Spots. Is Ben here?
Yeah.
Ben Spots.
Yeah.
Ben Spots, class of 1959,
Wow.
is not the most senior. I won't say oldest because Coach Booth called you the oldest a couple weeks ago, but he can do that. But class of 1959 and DeMatha's first three-sport all-met player. Basketball, football. Three sports. And I jotted down here that you hardly ever see that nowadays, but you never see that nowadays. It just doesn't happen. So for Ben Spots to be here, I appreciate it. With his wife, Ben lives in Anne Arundel County. I got a nice card from Ben. He informed me that he lives in Anne Arundel and he doesn't expect any crimes in a fire. So is Joe Lassick still here? Joe Lassick?
Yes.
Class of 1953, Mr. Lassick, if I'm right.
Right.
And I think you went on to play for the Colts afterwards, and certainly a legendary, not only DeMatha Stag, but Prince George's County resident. And a lot of what happened back in the early 50s kind of paved the way for everybody else.
Probably DeMatha's first all-metropolitan football player.
Yeah.
Joe Lassick.
So Ben, I'll scratch since you're my senior. My experience here really uniquely prepared me for the challenges of my profession. I remember and my wife went to Pilates, so I can't talk bad about Pilates, but I remember in 8th grade, and I was, I was the same size as I am now. A Pilates coach sat on our screened-in porch in College Park and said, "You're just going to be a small fish in a big pond at DeMatha, so don't bother going there." And at that point in time, I had plotted out my growth to be about 6'4" by mid 16. It's still coming. But I made the right choice. So I remember that like it was yesterday. So Buck off it, and I've got an old picture of Buck and Pat McGordy, and Pat generally looks the same. Pat came to DeMatha after a storied career, and this is tape, but a storied career at the Citadel. From what I understand, Pat, and if this is embellished history, just forgive me, that Pat McGordy went to the Citadel from DeMatha kind of on a bet, or on a dare. So there you were. Pat came to DeMatha and was helping out Buck Offit on the offensive line.
And Kevin, Joanne Offit just arrived, so Joanne's right here. So.
Oh, yeah!
Mrs. Offit, your husband and Pat tried to bench me week after week. And I lied to both of them. They would always ask me how much I weighed every week. 210, 205. I couldn't keep the numbers straight. I just wanted about 30 pounds for Mike Ritter to play with, no matter what. But it was a great experience. And Buck's, saying of do no harm. Buck has many eloquent sayings and many colorful sayings, and some that kind of mesh, but do no harm sticks with me for a number of different reasons, and it's really helped guide me through my law enforcement profession. And I think Mrs. Offit, Buck like me probably the most because he could look at me, eye to eye. And even if I screwed up, he went over and yelled at Mike Ritter. It didn't really matter. So I wrote that way for all of his work. So I appreciate everyone's time tonight. I know it's the middle of the week and there's a lot of Crofton guys here tonight that coach football. It's a Thursday night, school's just started, and I appreciate everyone taking the time away from your busy schedules